brighten up those already bright mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Hello, you. Ollie with you Monday morning. Mornings at the Cabin. 7 o'clock on the nose. Nothing starts a Monday at the very beginning of the week quite like receiving a message 6 seconds before you go on the air that just says, hot chocolate? Question mark. Thanks, Lecter. He's on the way with hot chocolate and chat, which are the two most vital components of any morning show. What a wonderful weekend we had at the trade show here in Yellowknife. You guys are amazing. You were so nice. Now, you were predominantly nice to the puppy. Occasionally you acknowledged our existence, but mostly it was giving the puppy pets. The puppy is still in recovery from sheer over-petting and is sleeping it off. Which one can only assume is the exact same case with Mr. Jesse Wheeler, who is also sleeping it off this morning. What have we told you? Stop petting Jesse. He can't handle it. On the show today, we will, of course, recap the trade show. We had a wonderful time. We will discuss the drinking game that we came up with during the trade show. We don't encourage drinking games, but we'll provide one in case. And on the show today, I want from you, when you were proposed to, or if you were the one proposing, if you've reached that stage in life yet, what happened? What was kind of the skit? What was the scheme? What did you come up with for the proposal? What did they come up with? Did it work? Was it great? Did it go off without a hitch? I mean, I suppose you're supposed to get hitched, but you know what I mean. Message the Cabin Radio Facebook page. You can email me, ollie@cabinradio.ca. How did that go? Because I have a story. We shall discuss.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Before we do anything else, did you see the basketball last night?
I'm actually just watching the highlights right now. I didn't see any of the game. I woke up to the reactions, and very happy for all the Raptors fans out there.
As with all basketball, you don't need to watch the opening 3 3/4 periods. That means nothing. In fact, this takes it to the logical extreme of basketball, which is like literally watch the last 4 seconds.
Yeah.
It's the only part of the... They're tied up till then. Like, yeah, who cares? The
0-0.
Last 4 seconds, great. But we'll come on to that maybe a little bit later on. Before we do that, let's talk about something far more important than the NBA, the trade show.
Okay.
How was your trade show experience?
It was good. It's always fun. I missed last year, obviously. Wasn't in town for that. But
right, your first Cabin Radio trade show.
Yeah, my first Cabin Radio trade show. That's right. So that was very exciting to be a part of that. I guess it's technically Cabin Radio's third trade show.
Well, we
second with a booth.
Yeah, the first one we sort of we adopted a rebel approach to it and essentially just toured the place doing our own thing.
And by we mean you.
Pretty much.
Basically just infiltrated.
And
started interviewing people.
Booth to booth, doing interviews, handing out stuff, and yeah.
The humble beginnings of Cabin Radio.
Now we're legit, though. Now we actually paid.
Yeah, they wouldn't let us sneak in 3 times.
I don't even know if I paid to get in that year. I have the feeling I probably just claimed media.
I don't think you do. I think you were gloating about it, actually.
Yeah, that sounds... Well, it doesn't sound like me to gloat, Lecter. That's not a word I would associate with me.
Not at all.
We did want to say, though, to everybody who came out on the weekend to the trade show, we had an amazing time. You guys are the best. Because if ever there was a nice little ego boost for the people who volunteer their time here, because we had a bunch of different show hosts and everyone come out and spend some time on the stall. Yeah, a lot of people who give their time to try and make Cabin Radio better. And all we had all weekend was people coming by to say how much they're enjoying various different bits. And what was kind of cool was that some people like the news, some people, God bless them, like the morning show. and some people like the video on Facebook and all that different kind of stuff. And honestly, it means the world, I think, to all of us to sort of sit there and hear people actually like the stuff.
It was really encouraging to see people come by and, say, really nice things, words of encouragement, and not just coming by in the first place because they thought Penny was going to be there. That was really encouraging.
It was encouraging, although it must be said that any time Penny did make an appearance, an immediate line of 20 children would materialize as though out of nowhere.
Yeah, they got nothing else to do at the trade show.
Yeah.
They want to see the puppy.
Welcome to the Cabin Radio Puppy Crash. Drop your child off here. It could pet the dog for 2 hours. That puppy,
How's she doing this morning?
Well, I'm awaiting an update because the puppy quite genuinely was rocking back and forth yesterday evening. I have a video on my phone that shows the dog just rocking gently with 1,000 yards stare.
Oh, sweet Penny.
I think she was on 1% battery life last night, and the instruction from Dr. Ollie was for the patient to go to bed immediately.
Yeah.
So it was a very early night for one Penelope T dog yesterday.
Is that her official name now? Penelope T Dog?
Penelope T dog.
What does the T stand for?
The
dog, right. Okay. Splendid.
Yeah. Naming conventions are absolutely fantastic around our way. So yes, thank you everybody for coming out and dribbling the dog up and down on the trade show floor for 7 hours a day. She had a whale of a time. We had a whale of a time. And now we all sit by the phone and await the results of all the draws.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast was recorded before a sort of live, thankfully not in the studio, audience.
Drama, elation, sheer, utter, unbridled pleasantness throughout Canada at the news that Canada's, well, let's face it, there's like 3 sports teams in Canada worth following. One of them has actually done something worthwhile. The Toronto Raptors through to the Eastern Conference Finals in the NBA for the second time in franchise history, which is, well, I don't know, like a decade. And here is the moment that happened.
Kawhi up top, looks at the clock, turns the corner for the win. Got it! Kawhi Leonard with the game winner, hanging in the air. The ball suspended in air in some 18 years.
Ooh, how about that then? Nice little way to pick up your Monday morning is listening to that play-by-play. That is the sound. In the middle of that, you would have heard a dunk, 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 dunk. And that is the sound of the ball thinking about it, dropping through the net.
I love the ambience of basketball highlights. Squeak, 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 squeak.
Dum, 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 dum. Yeah, exactly. It's very acoustically poetic.
It is.
Sport.
Yeah.
And that is the sound of as the buzzer went in the background for the end of the game with the score tied at 90 each. Kawhi Leonard sank that shot to win 92-90. Now, I watched Game of Thrones last night and immediately sort of made for social media to be like, I wonder what everybody said, only to find it awash with this Kawhi Leonard nonsense. They're like, oh, God, well, basketball.
Let's turn the tables right now. That was a great episode, right?
So...
No. Wait, we won't get into it.
We won't get into it. Suffice to say, opinions mixed about last night's Game of Thrones.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's the whole last season and a half. But anyway.
Yeah. Back to basketball. We're on safe ground here. You can't.
Back to the Raptors basketball season and playoffs.
If you're upset that we gave away spoilers for the basketball, listen, it's sports. You're supposed to have seen it.
Yeah. Literally every game is different, so spoilers, yeah, it's fine. Whatever.
You'll be fine. Last time on Toronto Raptors.
I haven't watched the game yet. Sadly enough, I'm someone who would do that. And, like, we're in the age of PVR where, yeah, there's a very, very high-functioning way to watch games that you maybe didn't have a chance to watch earlier, but you can't do that, especially when it's a playoff game.
Yeah.
You can't expect people to keep their mouths shut.
No, the only way you're going to get away with doing that is to hermetically seal yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, don't talk to people. Certainly don't listen to morning radio the day after the Game 7. Because the odds are that if anything interesting happened that would make it worth watching on PVR, they're probably going to be talking about it.
Yelling at their radio, you're not supposed to talk about sports.
Yeah.
You have a sports show for a reason.
Yeah.
But this is so big for sports in Canada, and given that there is only one Canadian NBA franchise, particularly big, and they had a lot of expectations coming into this year, obviously because of the name we just talked about, Kawhi Leonard. He was traded for in the offseason, a big franchise player for even bigger franchise player type move. And, a lot of people were concerned. Is this just going to be a rental? Is this going to work out? And I think the thought was generally if the Raptors succeed, if they go further than they've ever gone before, then it's a success. If they win an NBA title, of course, then who cares if he's a rental player? It's worth it. And right now, Kawhi Leonard is showing it was more than worth it. Like you said, that last second shot, 4 bounces before it goes in, 15 fourth quarter points in that game, 41 points in the game total. He saved his best performance in the series for last. And in a series where it seemed like coming in, the thought from Raptors fans was that they just need to get through it. And then Philly was like, no, we're actually a pretty good team too, and made it into what turned out to be a pretty incredible series right down to the final shot at the final buzzer, and Raptors move on to the conference finals.
Sign of a franchise player doing their job to me is when they do something that cuts through to people who don't care about their sport.
Yeah.
An example would be when Jose Bautista was in his pomp at the Toronto Blue Jays,
right.
The bat flip.
Yep.
Right? Bat flip. Doesn't matter if you follow baseball or not. You knew about it.
Yep.
You knew who he was after that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the moment where he just cut through the rest of sports and just reached out to random people on the street and made them pay attention to the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Iconic moment. Yeah.
Similarly, Kawhi Leonard, like, 6 bounces and in, as the buzzer goes to get through the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm talking about it. It's the first basketball I've seen all season.
Well, you didn't see it. We watched Game of Thrones. We already talked about that.
I watched the highlights. Okay, that's a lie. I watched literally the 8 seconds. But it's all I needed to see.
Yeah, again, that was the game, right? That was what it came down to. But yeah, pretty crazy game from all I've seen. I watched the full highlights package, so yeah, got a full sense of what was happening there. But very exciting for Raptors fans, like you say. The true mark of a franchise player doing what they're supposed to do is when people who don't particularly watch the sport are talking about it. And here are 2 guys who, are suddenly Raptors fans. Hey, look at that.
We the North.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
One more time, let's head back to the trade show. We had a bunch of fun there this weekend, but there was one thing that a lot of people wanted to know, and that we maybe should have taped a recorded message ahead of time and then just played it out, or had a sandwich board on the puppy that had the answer on it. The question was, when are you getting your FM license? So first of all, we should make very clear from the top, we are glad to receive this question. It is way better than the alternative question, which would be, when are you not having an FM license anymore? Which we're delighted no one seems to be asking that. So
you really have to go out of your way to be that much of a jerk.
Yeah, that would be...
When are you guys going to be, gone?
Is there any prospect of being defunct? Yeah. So, merrily, nobody came along and asked that particular question, but a lot of people did want to know about FM licensing, and it was pointed out to me that there was a specific phrase that, had it been part of a drinking game, it would have lain waste to the trade show, which is the phrase federally regulated.
Just rolls off the tongue. Federally regulated.
Doesn't it just? Every time somebody came up, they're like, oh, when are you getting your FM license? Well, intake of breath. Yeah, through the teeth. Yeah. Here's the thing. And we go into the whole spiel. By the way, if you weren't at the trade show and you're wondering what the actual answer to this is, well, it's federally regulated. And
day drink.
Yep, there you go. The issue, we reckon we're about a year away. Year to 18 months away. And the reason we have to keep saying federally regulated is because a lot of that weight is going to be dependent on how quickly the federal regulator, the CRTC, can get to it and actually open the envelope, go through the stuff. They will have a bunch of questions. We will hopefully have a bunch of answers, and so on, and so on, and so on. So it's a lengthy process.
It also depends on your responses to these unsolicited phone calls we've been telling you to take.
Yes.
Against your better judgment.
Yes, and you know what? We did have quite a few people come by and say, hey, yeah, we got this call, and we answered it, and we did all the thing. And there were 1 or 2 people who came by, and when they realized that they should have taken that call, but didn't, became suitably apologetic.
Do you think we should have considered adopting Sarah from the Conservative Party's method and putting out text messages? Hey, it's Cabin Radio.
Hey, it's Ollie from Cabin. Can
Cabin Radio count on your support this year? Answer: yes. No.
Super awkward. Super awkward. Yeah.
Maybe we could get Sarah working for us.
Yeah, maybe.
Bring on our potential third Sarah.
Well, slightly strangely. So if you go and listen to the Lunchtime News podcast from Friday, we had Yannick Degler on who is running for the Conservative nomination. He wants to be the Conservative candidate here in the NWT. And that was the day after all those text messages had gone out up here. And so I threw in as a last question, I said, why is your party sending these unsolicited random text messages late at night to everyone in the Northwest Territories?
Have you met Sarah? What's she like in person?
And I asked that. And he said, oh, yeah, I know Sarah.
Oh, what?
Right.
Come on.
And I didn't really press him on it. But I feel like he was... Yannick, if you're listening to this, I don't know if you were just styling out that question or if there is genuinely a Sarah at the Conservative Party that you know to be responsible for those texts. I think we all assume that Sarah is just a name they're putting on an automated text message. But Yannick looked me straight in the eye and said, yeah, I know Sarah. So I'm intrigued. I'm absolutely intrigued by who Sarah might be.
There's got to be at least one Sarah who's a member of the Conservative Party. Whether this Sarah is actually putting through these text messages, maybe everyone just assumes, like, oh, yeah, it's Sarah. She's a go-getter. Of course she's doing this.
And you know what? I bet that Sarah is starting to get a little sick of the abuse. You imagine being like Eddie Sarah on Facebook, which lists your employer as the Conservative Party of Canada. The blowback you must be receiving from people who are like, would you stop?
How did you get my number?
Status update. It's not me. It's a different Sarah.
Yeah, my number's been hacked. Classic.
Yeah. So yes. Hi, it's Sarah from Cabin Radio. We were, and of course there is a Sarah at Cabin Radio, so you would be able to direct your negative feedback directly at her. Yeah,
soon to be two, so we can spread the blame between the two.
That's true, yeah. Oh, yeah. Intern Sarah starts in 2 days' time.
Very exciting.
Yeah, so this is the third ever Cabin Radio intern. We should have some sort of wall.
We should, yeah.
Someone mentioned last year, wasn't it, that I can't remember who had this idea. It's a creepy idea. We probably won't do it, but it briefly entertained me, which was to get a life-size cardboard cutout of every intern and like put them up on the wall after they finish. And then you have this parade of interns leading into the... Yeah, your face accurately sums up many people's response to that idea.
Yeah, the life-size cutout, I think, is maybe taking
miniature
it a bit far.
Miniature cutouts.
Okay.
Just like puppy height.
Maybe
just down there? No?
Plaques or something.
Okay,
fine. Yeah. Head statues. What are those called? A little
busts.
Busts. Yeah.
There you go.
That also sounds a little creepy in the wrong context.
Doesn't it? Yeah. We've mounted the busts of the interns on the wall.
Not a road we want to go down.
Okay, Beach Boys, help me out here.
Well, since she put me down.
Cabin Radio's morning show podcast. All the best chat, none of the embarrassing mistakes.
I am a believer in British ice hockey, despite that taking... Note, I had to call it ice hockey because otherwise Brits get very confused and we assume we're talking about field hockey. British ice hockey took a little bit of a dent in people's faith in it yesterday.
Did it?
Smidge of a dent. Team GB lost 8-0 to Team Canada at the IHF World Championships.
Close game.
Honestly, I imagine the Brits got off the ice at the end of that and said exactly those words in all seriousness.
All right, lads, that was okay.
You know what? That was single figures.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a win.
Yeah, good job, everybody. Yeah. So, a little bit of background to this. If you have not been following British hockey, I can't think why.
You're missing out, fella. Let me tell you.
Yeah, so both people who have been following British hockey would already know this, but anyone else, the team has not been in the top level of the World Championships for 30 years-ish, maybe a little bit less than that.
Right.
And because there's promotion and relegation, they got promoted into the top tier of the World Championships at the end of the last ones.
Do you know who they beat to get that promotion?
Oh, I don't. It was somebody like
Kazakhstan,
or a Latvia or somebody like that.
Okay.
And I know it was pretty tight. I know it was like a scene of great jubilation for the players and their families, and nobody else. And
nobody else paid any mind.
And such is British hockey. I used to do play-by-play in British domestic hockey every week, and you'd get like 400 people out to a game.
Oh, that's not bad.
Which is not bad.
Yeah.
But it's not. It was like, there's a reason I got to go do that, which is that nobody else wanted to do it.
Yes.
So it was not like I was having to like fight off, the McLean and Grapes combination to finally get on the air and do this.
Right.
It was very much like in my own time, and the BBC said, all right, if you want, but we're not paying you. So I would go and do hockey play-by-play in like these derelict old barns that form British rinks.
It's a great experience in doing play-by-play for sports that nobody cares about,
Yeah.
which
Not
is
kidding.
valuable. Very valuable.
Working at the Olympics for me every 2 years, Scott. Let me tell you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I used to go and do that. And yeah, for the Brits, it's pretty exciting to play Team Canada for the first time in a few decades. Even losing 8-0, I think there will be plenty of people who came off the ice and were like, you know what? That is not as disgraceful a scoreline as it could have been.
No, could have been a lot worse. I mean, and in international tournaments, it's we infamously see at least one game in the round robin where, Team Russia or Team USA or Team Canada just slaughters some poor, witless team. Usually like Latvia or like the Ukraine or something like
some
that.
Some tiny European nation
Yes.
where, you know what, they did just enough to get in.
Yeah.
But their physicality, their skill level, their stamina is not going to compete with seasoned NHLers coming off the bench in waves against you for 3 periods. Like it's no contest. I mean, compared to soccer, like if I think about soccer, there's less physicality to it. In the opening 45 minutes, when both teams are relatively fresh, there is a little bit more of a chance for the underdog team to come up with something, get a lucky bounce, get a free kick relatively near the net and do something.
Yeah.
In hockey, you're facing so many odds against you that I would have been amazed if Britain got a goal. I think they will just be glad to have got out of there with single figures and to have made an appearance against a Canadian team.
Well, we were comparing this a bit off the air, and because I remember a couple years ago, Team Latvia in this tournament scored a goal on Team Canada. I think the final was 8-1 Canada or something like that. But the very fact that Latvia had scored a goal, and they always travel with a huge pack of fans with them, and they're the best fans in the world when it comes to hockey. They were so elated that you would have sworn that Latvia actually won the game in overtime or something like that. The fans just exploded when that 8-0 game suddenly became 8-1, and you couldn't help but feel good for them. And so I said, is this if Great Britain had scored a goal on Team Canada, would that have been the equivalent of Team Canada's national soccer team scoring a goal against Team England? And you actually thought, no, this is more impressive. It would have been more impressive if Great Britain had scored a goal on Team Canada.
I really think it would. I think the gulf is, don't get me wrong, Canada's men's soccer team is not good, but I still think the golfing class is bigger in hockey. So it's 1994, I'm reading, is the last time that Great Britain was in the top tier.
That recently.
So it's 25 years ago still, which is, a fair old way. And they beat Hungary.
Just a barn burner, I'll bet.
3-2 in a shootout.
Wow,
to get promoted.
It's actually probably a pretty good game.
Pretty good game. They were 2-0 down with 10 minutes remaining.
Oh wow!
So they actually turned it around and then won in the shootout to get to the top tier.
How is there not a movie of this yet?
Well, it's like a Cool Runnings kind of thing. You see these guys? This country is terrible at this sport, but they did it in an entertaining way. Can I just point out, we were the Olympic ice hockey champions in 1936?
You may point that out.
Thank you.
Feel free.
It was, what are we talking, 83 years ago, whatever it was now?
World War II on the horizon.
Great Britain won Olympic hockey gold that year. Now, what I don't know is whether Canada was in it that year. I suspect that there's probably a very good reason we won the hockey tournament that year. Let's
probably because Winston Churchill was coaching, no doubt.
Whoa, hang on.
Whoa.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Final ranking. Bronze medal, 1936 Olympic men's hockey tournament, United States.
Oh.
Silver medal, 1936 Olympic men's hockey tournament, Canada.
Whoa.
Gold.
Okay.
Great Britain.
So what we're saying is this 8-0 win was redemption from 1936.
Weirdly, they played the final, they decided the medals in a round robin in 1936. So there was no semi-final and final. 4 teams made it through to the final round and then played each other once to decide who finished top. And Britain had 2 wins and a tie. They played out a goalless tie with the United States in 6 periods.
Wow.
Hey, imagine going to a hockey game at the Olympics that lasts 6 periods and ends in a goalless tie.
And someone is the winner out of that.
Wow.
The Olympics has come a long way, hasn't it?
And that's how we won, everybody. We bored you all to death.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast, where we cut out all the great music and you're left with the rest.
Mornings at the Cabin, Ollie and Lecter with you, just about to sign off. But before we do that, marriage proposals. Now, this was initially sort of sparked in my mind on the weekend because I made the mistake of stopping at the Best Movers and Dash event rentals stall at the trade show, which they had decked out and like to show their best wedding ceremony stuff.
Yes.
And Cynthia at the stall invited me to come and get married. And I decided that was probably going to have to involve some pretty fast work on behalf of at least one human being, if not two.
What more romantic time to propose than the trade show?
No kidding, right? It's like, are there any jewelers at the trade show? For that matter, any women? But then I then heard the following day, and I will anonymize this, the story of a very good friend's sister getting engaged.
Okay.
Happened, I think it was last week.
Right.
In Northern Ontario somewhere. And the way that this is told to me is that the woman in question had no idea this was coming, but was set on her guard slightly by the fact that the man said, let's go for a walk. Let's head out for a stroll. Which, always... Like, you never ask to go on walks.
Go for a walk?
What's wrong with you?
What is that about?
Exactly. Now, the reason I bring this up is the choice of locale for the walk.
Okay.
Because it turns out there is a local attraction nearby to them, which is like a boardwalk trail sort of thing, entitled the Bog Walk.
The Bog Walk. Okay.
If I were proposing to somebody, for several reasons, would not choose the Bog Walk.
But have you walked the Bog Walk?
I have not been to the Bog Walk. It might be as Bog Walks go. It may well be the best.
Maybe the name just doesn't do it justice.
Even if it's tops for Bog Walks, like TripAdvisor Bog Walks #1, the Bog Walk. Even if that is the case, there are a few reasons I would hesitate. One is telling this story to people in future, like, how did you propose? Well, at the Bog Walk.
At the Bog Walk.
Yeah. It's like, number two is you've got to get down on one knee, tradition dictates, for this sort of thing. I feel like the Bog Walk, like even that boardwalk, even if immaculately maintained, is likely to contain elements of bog.
Right.
And that just seems like an unnecessary factor to have to throw in for yourself to contend with.
Fair enough.
And the third is, I am the kind of human being that would be petrified that if I were carrying the ring on my person, the last substance I would want beneath me for the entirety of the operation would be a bog.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I guess fire would be worse, but that's about it.
Fire would be worse. Honestly, if
snakes, maybe.
If you tell your other half, let's go for a walk. Oh, where we go? Oh, the burning snake pit.
What more romantic than the burning snake pit?
Sounds of dying snakes sizzling underneath you.
Why do they keep going into that pit? Yeah, okay. All right, so bog is slightly ahead of that.
Yeah, so second lowest on my list, bog walk. You make a valid point.
Yes.
Better than burning snakes.
Okay. And so do you know how the proposal went?
It ended well.
Complete success?
Complete success.
Wow.
Didn't drop the ring in a bog.
Against all odds.
Slowly filter down. Yep. No snakes involved. No flames. No Game of Thrones-esque proposal. Dragons in the background.
Well, I suppose that's something.
Will you marry me? By the way, my dragon is right behind my shoulder, and he has not eaten for some time. Now, back to the point I was making.
Yeah, at least he's smiling at me, because they always seem to. At least at the trade show, if you were to propose there, it's just concrete below you. You got nothing to worry about there.
Nothing to worry about.
Drop the ring, just bounces right back into your hand.
Penny, drop that. Reaching into the gullet of the dog. Yeah. Okay. Good. So we've established solid ground, best for proposal thing. But equally, you know what? It worked out brilliantly. Everybody's very happy. I've seen a picture of the ring. The ring does look blooming gorgeous.
Oh, nice.
That's picking out the ring. Oof,
what kind of stone in there?
Oh, I don't know. Shiny
stone.
You're asking details that I just cannot provide. Like I've seen a picture of the ring. I didn't say someone had told me about the ring. I have no notes on the ring. I've just seen a picture of it. It looks really nice.
Color?
What do you want? Ringy.
Ringy color.
Let me look.
Brass.
Yeah, I don't know. Like People say like white gold. I don't know.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just make it up.
Yeah, all
white
right.
gold, sapphire rock in there.
Yeah, and it with like a little inset, like picture of a burning snake. It's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really nice. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't think that's probably abundantly clear. If you have got a wonderful marriage proposal story, there is still time. If you're just catching up with us on the podcast, send it in to us. We would love to read it out. Or you can call the rant line and give us the 1-minute potted version. 867-675-0100.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca.